We're good. Alright, so any other solutions that don't involve like gun control would you say?
Mental health.
Mental health?
Definitely
Yes.
need to address the mental health because the majority of people who do mass killings like have these mental illnesses that should definitely be addressed because like you can't ignore that statistic, that the fact that like so many people that do these mass shootings have these mental illnesses. So we should, if we can not, I mean you can't eliminate mental illness, but if we can deal with it and better like regulate it, it could potentially reduce the amount of mass killings. But how would you do that?
Well, if you want to get a weapon, you should have to go through a psychiatric evaluation.
I agree with that 100%.
And if somebody in your household wants to get a weapon, everybody in your household should have a psychiatric evaluation. Because if there's somebody in your house that's crazy, let's be real, every time that somebody shoots up a school, especially like high schoolers, they're not getting those guns on their own, they're usually taking them from their parents.
Yeah.
So either they need to be better locked up so your kids do not know the combination to them, or
You're talking about
you should not be allowed to get one in general if somebody in your family is
as
crazy.
in children or kids as in like middle schoolers, high schoolers?
I'm talking like 10 years old or older.
They shouldn't.
They should not, no.
But doesn't that defeat the purpose of keeping a gun in your home to beginning? Because if they can't access it and something happens.
I don't think a kid should access it.
I
think
I'm a
every
child.
son, yeah.
Like if you're a small child, I would
There's a
say
certain age.
no. But
But
I feel like
I also think it's a part of a parent's job, because let's be real, if like your kid is like mentally insane and thinking about shooting up a school,
yeah.
You should have a gun. I
there's
agree with
typically
that.
warning signs. And if you think your kid might possibly be a sociopath or go and shoot up a school, if they're socially like not all there, do not give them the code.
Yeah, I think every single gun, well, I know this isn't really gun control, but I think everyone who owns a gun should also have to be required to own like something that can physically lock it. Like not a huge gun safe, but I mean if you just have a handgun,
Yeah.
you should buy like a little like
Safe.
apparatus with a lock and a
Yeah.
code or a key. Something where like, because I know me, like before, I have a gun safe now, but beforehand, like my guns were in my dad's closet. I could have at any time just grabbed a shotgun out of the closet. Like that's, if you're gonna have a gun, you have to do it right.
I'm 20 years old and my dad has a gun in our house and I have no idea where it is.
That's
Because my parents will not tell me or my brother because they don't think we need to know where it is. I don't think I'd go on a mass shooting, but I think like for my
But
own
that's
safety,
good
that's
that
okay
your
that I don't know
parents
where
are-
it is.
Yeah.
so not only like is this a government problem, like
So wait,
people in
going
business
back
address it.
like psychology.
Yeah, how are you
Bring
gonna
it
know
back.
kind of with the gun control because that's kind
Yeah.
of like the best thing to do in this situation.
Oh, so
Explore other options.
we could do early like
Evaluation.
education, so evaluations would
With the
be helpful.
whole family.
Of people.
Of the
Okay.
I agree with that. If you're buying like an assault weapon or a shotgun, like you should background checks of like whoever is living
But
in your house.
Our topic though is within schools. So we're not right. We're talking about violence in schools. So like psychology of that though would be teaching kids when they're younger, right? So
Well, yeah.
middle school, maybe elementary school, trying to do something like that
Yeah, but we're also trying to prevent them from
from
even
doing
getting,
violence. But we're
to
saying
getting
from,
their
like,
hands on a weapon to bring to school.
yeah, but that was like our first kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
solutions,
But
if you will.
the
So there's
psychiatric
other
in schools,
type of
more
solutions.
guidance counselors, like, and not only more guidance counselors, real guidance counselors. Because I personally have not ever had a real conversation with my high school guidance counselor about like a problem in my life. Have people that have people that aren't really like faculty members that are like, hey, if you have a problem, if you're upset about something, come talk to me. You're not gonna get in trouble. Hey, if something's bugging you out,
Yeah.
come talk to me. Like you can just talk it through. I'll help you. Like I'm not gonna get you in trouble. Like
Yeah.
because I remember with my school, like our guidance counselors, the second you went to talk to a guidance counselor, you got in trouble. So I think you should have people like you should teach. Hey, we're here. If you have a problem, if you have this mental illness, come talk to us.
Yeah.
We're only here to help you. You're okay. Like I feel like people really don't do that anymore. I feel like
Having,
it's
like, a
not
disclosure
okay
kind
in
of
today's
thing, yeah.
society. Like
Or-
I feel like people who have mental illnesses try and hide them because in today's society, like
There's a stigma.
yeah, it's like taboo. It's like oh no, this person has
Granted,
bipolar.
the United States though is a lot better than like a lot of European.
It's getting a lot
Yeah.
better than it has been
Totally.
too.
Because I know when like people in the United States will sometimes say like, oh, I was talking to my shrink the other day, and like in most other like
See,
Western
that's-
societies, like they would look at you like, you have a shrink.
See, that's
Yeah.
we need
Like-
to make it more socially acceptable. Be able to talk to people.
I think
like
I
this.
think so far the United States is
We're
pretty
doing pretty
decent
good,
with
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But you can get better.
But I agree with what you were saying about like guidance counselors, because a lot of the guidance counselors we had in my high school, I think, because my high school is massive. Like my graduating class was 800 kids. So then, and like I was one of the smaller ones. They literally did not have enough professionally trained guidance counselors, so they just started hiring like teachers. and then putting them in a guidance counselor office, and be like, oh, they're a guidance counselor now. And like, you need somebody that's like trained how to deal with like kids that are going through
Like someone who like had a degree in
mentally-
social work.
Yeah,
or
social
something
work
like
or
that.
like psychology.
Someone who's prepared to talk to people like that. Yeah.
Prepared to talk to people, but also like know how to deal with like a kid that's talking to them about like their constant depression or constant anxiety.
But shouldn't you guys think those kids should be put in some special school instead of put it with the normal kids?
Well, like people with mental health.
Sorry, I'm not political correct and said all
I
that.
feel like
It's
that would
okay.
probably be
I mean,
like,
you could take medication and be
yeah, I feel
perfectly
like that would
fine.
be like
Depends
worse
the
for the
degree to
growth.
which of it, because there's so many people who are like fully functional in today's society who have mental illnesses, and they go on and they have families, they have jobs, and they're just normal people.
Yeah, as long as
I
they're
guess
on their medication,
I would
it's fine.
yeah, I
But
would
it's
say
more like a time bomb though.
yeah, I mean it depends on what type of like mental
Yeah.
That's why like I
facing.
emphasize like teaching people coping mechanisms, because I feel like if you don't know how to deal with like stress,
Then it's just-
anxiety,
you just
and you
blow
do
up.
have one, then it becomes like literally a time bomb. But like if people can learn, and the thing is like realistically, it should be like parents and families that teach people these kinds of coping mechanisms and like how to deal with stuff. But obviously that does not, like a lot of cases that's not there. So that's why like at least within our public schools and things, like maybe trying to offer something that allows those kids that don't get it at home to then
Get it
learn
school.
how to do that, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Because while theoretically, yes, a parent should do that and should have that kind of discretion, you can't always like rely on that.
Yeah.
So I guess out of all the things we like talked about, like what do you think would be the best and like why according to like some of the metrics and stuff you talked about earlier? What do you think, like more of a gun control and preventing that getting into schools? Do you think something along the lines of
See,
Security.
with-
Security.
To me, I don't know. I think about maybe going back to the basics and maybe like proposing a change to the Second Amendment, like the right. I mean, to like the right to bear arms, but maybe adding like an extra clause in there.
yeah?
And probably like one of the hardest things to
I was gonna say.
to push for, but it doesn't hurt
Yeah.
to try.
Oh,
Yeah.
people would-
in order to
Well,
in
maybe
order
not
to-
change the amendments, but maybe just like put on the things like stricter background checks, or I think there's one thing where it's like increasing the duration by the time you ask for it, by the time you get it, because like they use that as a way like you're suicidal and you like,
Yeah,
order
if you want the
gun.
gun, then you want it
If there's a
now.
duration, you have to wait, and so the idea is like through that duration you like come to your senses, and
Yeah, I agree.
but that's separate. But
But does anyone think we should take the guns away? Like
No.
in general?
I don't think
I feel like that would be too much.
I feel like that just won't work. That won't actually
It's
work.
just-
So
it's
we're all on the
just-
same page with that.
You're literally only gonna take them away from
That's what, yeah,
good
good.
people that
But
need
I
them
do
for
agree
defense.
that we should increase, like what you were saying, like definitely the psychiatric evaluations, huge.
Yeah.
Need that. Very, very important. Really good. I say we kind of, instead of doing just gun control, I just say increased security in general. Like it's harder to get a gun, and it's harder to get a gun in the school. Add these metal detectors. Add these chiefs. Add these like security officers. Like obviously it's gonna take a lot of time and money, but
I think
it's safety. Like
yeah.
we spend our money on so many things that are like so much more less important
Yeah.
than our safety. Like, so I don't think that would be a problem is paying for it.
Yeah, if you were to look at the budget that like the government spends money on, you'd be astounded with what we spend money on.
Yeah.
It's actually absurd. And like if we could take a little bit of that funding and then put it towards
Something good,
something worth it.
Yeah.
something
Then-
worthwhile. That
Do you
would
think it
work.
should be localized to only specific types of schools, like maybe inner city schools, or do you think all schools across the board?
I think you should give more funding to the more schools
Like the
that
high
have more, are more likely to have mass shootings. Like,
Yeah.
give more funding to the schools who experience more violence. So like the schools like that are in like I don't know, Idaho that haven't had a shooting or a killing or a violence in the past like 30, 40 years, give them a little bit of money, like increase their security a little bit. But the school in like the streets of Brooklyn that's like has 10 shootings in the past like 30 years, be like, hey, we really need to pump some money in this. We really need to deal with this
Yeah.
problem swiftly and effectively.
Yeah,
So-
like with that, like if there's like a school that has a lot of gun violence, we can give them enough money for maybe like 3 or 4 like metal detectors. But like in a school that never had one, maybe like you localize it to a central entrance where everybody goes and you just keep the rest of the doors locked so they can't come in
Yeah.
through those doors. That's what my high school did. They only were allowed to come in 2 entrances.
Yeah.
And like it made
My
it
school
really
had
easy.
a code, like you had to type in, this is another good system that I just thought of right now. My school had everyone had a thumbprint, even though the thumbprints really didn't work, and like a 5/16 code that was specific to you as a student.
Oh, wow.
So technically, you
A
weren't
lot
supposed
of
to
people
let
would
people
not
in,
fly.
but that's how you get in the building.
Mm.
Well,
So,
you
like-
can still do that with a gun, though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can.
Still
Yeah, but what I'm
somebody's
saying is it makes it a
dog.
lot harder. Every single door was locked in my high school.
Okay.
So like, to
Oh,
get in the
really?
mornings, yeah. To get in the mornings, like all the outside, well, not all of them, but like.
You went to like a Catholic high school.
Yeah, I was at a
So,
private
like,
high
you had
school,
the
but-
money.
Yeah, you guys
it's
had the
gonna- it's
money
gonna
for
cost
that.
them
I feel
money,
like
but-
you can't do that here at Penn State, like lock down the
No.
building.
Yeah.
No, and no, in Temple they do that kind of stuff. But it's Temple.
Temple. That's
Like,
like in the
yeah.
middle of like Philly.
Yeah,
right?
and like obviously like random people would walk in the buildings if they could.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
no.
So
And
out of all the ones you proposed though, what do we want to like kind of select on
Think
for implementation?
Kind of take a little bit of both of the security and the gun control, I think. Like, and make it
So
harder to get.
ignore the psychological.
I mean, we could definitely take that into account, but I feel like it
Yeah.
would be a little less effective. And I think if we have the funds to do it and we could make it work, that's definitely another.
Honestly,
thing.
like you can honestly make the psychological thing into gun control because like in order to get a gun you have to do that.
Yeah.
So you can make that a part of
So-
gun control.
Kind
Don't
of
you
take
think
the
that would be
best
taking
of
a lot
both.
of like government resources to do the psychological tests and things like that? And
Like
it would be another like DMV things for like.
No, you have to schedule your own psychiatric.
If you want to buy a
appointment with
gun,
your-
yeah.
If you want to go, if you're
If you want to go get a gun, it's on you to make the appointment, to pay for the evaluation.
Exactly.
I
And
think
then-
if you want the gun, you have to go get it.
That'll also deter people
Yeah.
that are going crazy that just want a gun
Yeah,
right
if some-
now, right
If
right
someone
away.
wants to kill them,
eliminate like the gun show loophole thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
gun
the
shows
gun
are
show
a big,
loophole is the big problem.
My brother goes to gun shows all the time, and he'll just come back with guns like that day.
That's crazy.
That day.
I mean, how much? Like,
I mean, my brother's a really big gun nut. Like, my family's really into hunting, so like that's why this topic like really interested me because it's very relevant.
Yeah.
But with the whole thing with gun shows is I think they're outrageous. Like, I can literally go in there and just buy like 6 guns and come home that day,
Yeah.
and then I can go to Gander Mountain. I can go to Dick's Sporting Goods. I can get the ammo for them, and boom, I have 6 loaded guns that I got this day. I don't agree with that. at
I
all.
don't either.
I shouldn't be able to buy enough to fuel a small militia.
As I said, you don't need an arsenal for just
Yeah.
yourself that you can buy in less than 25 minutes.
I think we should make it harder to get guns, but I think we should still be able to get like with assault weapons. We should still be allowed to get assault weapons, but just make it a really tedious process to deter people. Because the people who are like, oh, like I'm really sad, like I'm gonna get a gun. If it takes you like 3 months and like 2 psychiatric screenings and like you have to pay all this money to get a gun, we're like, you know what? It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
So how
So
about the black market? Like that
But you can't
that'd
stop
be
the
hard.
black market.
Yeah,
There's
that's harder to do.
You literally cannot stop the black market.
yeah, you can't just stop the private trade of goods. Like,
People
they-
literally buy like organs on there. Like you
Yeah.
can't
What
stop
I'm saying is
that.
you can't regulate like a private market like that because it would just be too difficult and it's untraceable and it's anonymous. Like I can just go up and be like, hey, just sell Michelle a gun and she gives me $50 cash. Like no one can trace that. No one had any idea that happened.
And you could like scratch off the serial number
Scratch
on
off the barcode.
Mm-hmm. Same with liquor. You can do that too.
Yeah.
maybe we like guns have like trackers in them.
Oh, like a chip?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if
People have
a
proposed that
21-year-old
before.
buys you liquor and you're not 21, you can scratch off the barcode. So like if they paid with cash, there's
Yeah.
no trace of how they bought it.
There's
I
with the
don't
barcode,
think-
yeah, there's no trace.
If the barcode's gone,
off,
if you
yeah.
scratch the barcode off, there's no
But
trace.
barcodes don't have that information on it. Barcodes just have what the item is. They can
You-
look it
at the
up
liquor,
and
no,
say,
at the
like,
liquor store, every time they scan it and then you sign.
Yeah,
So that barcode is connected with like if I
But
go to
not
the
every
liquor
barcode is different.
Yeah, with alcohol it is.
without
The serial
Every single
number.
one?
Well, with this, they know the serial number from the barcode.
Uh,
So like, if I see the serial number on like a handle, like,
I-
and I sign for it, like I get in trouble. It's the same thing with guns.
Well,
I feel like
yeah.
bringing
we should do that.
Well, that is exactly what
Unrelated, we
happened.
should do that with guns.
Well, that's how it
we're
is with
talking about-
guns.
Oh, wait.
People are starting to put in serial numbers and chips inside of guns, just like the debit card.
Yeah. So for so review though, we want to do control, like a higher control of guns in order to reduce violence in schools. So we want to increase, I guess, background checks in general, right? So include some sort of psychological methodology or psychological evaluation
Mhm.
of someone before they can acquire a gun, and also get rid of that loophole as a way of preventing people who are like students or outside people from coming into schools and possibly doing things. And is that all we're doing, right? Is
We're-
that the main?
And the main is
Yeah.
Are we implementing more metal detector security personnel?
Oh, security, and then also increasing security too.
Increasing the security in the schools to a degree. I mean, I don't think every school should have like 6 metal
I don't
detectors
think
in
so.
school, but like definitely increase the funding in security to schools
Somewhat.
and
Okay.
also make it harder to get guns. That's what I
Well,
think.
that would be tied into
Yeah.
the background check thing.
Also,
Stricter laws,
train teachers. Like teachers and employees of the schools should have like plans for what they would do if God forbid
I just
this
think-
did happen.
Those are like separate implementation styles, right? So it's like we're either gonna
Yeah.
do giving teachers guns,
Mhm.
psychological exams for everyone, kind of thing, just in general, just to help with coping skills. We can or we can choose the gun control thing, or so like from one of those, because you can't do a little bit of everything. You have to choose like one main thing to focus on.
Well, I think the thing that would provide the most effectiveness would be making it just harder to get the gun. I feel like that would be a huge deterrent.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like reducing the amount of like large scale gun violence type things.
I think if you make it harder to get the gun, the less people are gonna have the guns.
So within that, how do we implement it? And when I say implement, I'm like, who do you need to contact? Who do you need to? How are you gonna get the funds? How's it gonna get funded?
Well,
Is
if
it
it was
gonna be?
You create an interest group and then you lobby at
Capitol
Congress.
Hill, you have to. That's what you do.
So you do Capitol Hill. You go. You lobby. First, you create an interest group, get enough people and support and funding, like private
think-
funding,
Okay.
and then you go and lobby and
So,
get them to vote on it.
Okay, so is there any like, I guess that would have to require a little bit more research, but, so we need to find some, I guess obviously a senator who has a big influence within that, because there's obviously a committee that,
There's probably committees.
there's a
about
committee
guns
for
and-
most likely like guns and
Yeah.
those kinds of laws and stuff, so probably find people who are part of that specific committee and somehow influence them either with letters or.
If you make a
lobby
big enough
groups.
stink, like with people, like if you have a big enough group with enough funding,
Yeah.
and you like petition enough, and then you lobby enough, you're gonna get heard. That's how like most laws get passed, especially like
Yeah.
what's the term? Like laws that like affect us, like personally. Like that's
Okay.
why a lot of like women's laws got passed because they literally made the biggest stink on the planet until it got passed.
Yeah. And then for once it's passed, though, like how would it be funded? I guess you'd want to have all these background checks and psychological exams. Are those all going to be funded by the federal government? Each individual state is
They
going to be
have National
responsible.
security to pay for it because like it is a national security thing.
Department of Defense.
Department of Defense.
Something like that. I mean, like, I'm sure, like, obviously, like, they'll want to draw from all our taxpayers' money. But what I'm saying is, for these psychological evaluations and all that, make the individual pay for
I
it.
agree. We shouldn't make anybody else. We shouldn't make government fund for that.
If you want a
So
gun,
if you
I
want a
shouldn't have
gun.
to pay for it.
But I guess-
Exactly.
The problem with that would be like, should there be somewhat of an equal access at least? Like, if you are a healthy individual, should you have an equal access to a gun versus someone who's like wealthier? If that makes sense.
I mean, if you can't afford a gun.
Because it
you
is
shouldn't buy a gun.
it is like an amendment law type thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
like,
but if you can't afford a gun, you shouldn't get a gun.
Yeah, I have the right to practice religion. That doesn't mean I have to pick a religion. Like,
I have
just
the right
because
to
you
buy
wanna do-
shoes. Doesn't mean I have the right. I should
If
go
you
and buy
can't-
Louboutins.
If you
Like
can't afford,
I
you can't afford
can't
them.
afford them, but I can still buy them. if
And
I
that's
want
also
to.
another good thing that guns are expensive because, like,
Yeah.
if you look at the
It's
facts,
like
like
a
more
return.
crime happens in less wealthier areas, like poor areas, more crime happens. If guns are harder to get and cost more money, then less people in these poor areas are going to have these guns. And just connecting the dots here, you can probably draw the conclusion that a lot less violence will happen in these poor areas because a lot less people in these poor areas will have the guns
Mhm.
because it costs more money
Yeah.
to get them. The pistol's $200, like people are like, oh, I can get that. But if it costs like $600-700 for the same gun in the next 5-6 years,
I would not buy a $200 gun.
exactly.
That's too much money.
Now imagine if someone's like, hey,
they'll buy that anyway.
if someone's like,
Yeah.
hey, like now that gun costs $500, a lot less people are gonna buy the gun.
So put it on the responsibility of the person who wants to get the gun.
I think so. If you want the gun, you should have to pay for it. I'm saying we shouldn't hold your hand through the whole process.
Yeah.
If you want the gun, you have to actively go out and get it.
I mean, I guess the problem becomes when it reaches that second market, like that black.
That's what I mean, yeah. But
Yeah.
you really can't do anything.
That's- yeah,
But then you gotta worry, like, if that's the case, are more people gonna go on the black market to buy guns?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
Because it's more
the-
profitable.
Just like the organs.
Because it's so
It's more
expensive.
profitable and it's more easy.
Yeah. That's a
That is-
side note, though.
Side note. But I mean, like, what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
People are gonna buy them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
So I
kind of
guess
badly put.
I guess that's kind of our final thing. So we want to increase. So if you want a gun, you have to pay for all the steps you have to take, and those steps include some sort of background check, things like that. And then by doing so, we are saying that it's going to reduce the likelihood of someone either coming into a school with bad intentions of shooting multiple people, or it'll help prevent maybe a family member or something like that from getting access to it. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely think it can't hurt. It can only help. That's what I say.
So, and then by implementing it, we're going to contact someone who's on a committee or most people on the committee that is in charge of guns. Because I'm pretty sure that's a separate committee in Congress, either through letters or some sort of interest group with money to kind of help get their attention and say that this is what the people want, kind of thing. Well, I think that's good.
I think that's it.
Let me.
So how many minutes in total? We have 3 parts, right?